quorum for us is just a majority, correct?
Correct. So where are the other two?
Mr. Palmer is ill, he has sent an email, and I sent that to you guys. I put it at everybody's desk. I have not heard from Ms. Hutto, though.
Jane put the packet up too. I didn't bring the whole thing, but I need some of the documents. It's up on the website. You read Inca's.
Terry, you okay with the invocation? Good, good deal, thank you.
Unfortunately, he can't vote in
I
abstention.
told him I couldn't make so in my response, but I would ask.
Yeah, item 9, or item 7. We already brought it up. Although, during COVID, they did make special,
Yeah, well, the
provisions for that
the
kind of thing.
governor enacted some executive orders, and that's how
Oh,
it was
yeah.
allowed to be done.
oh yeah.
You're on there, Mr. Robichaud.
Your item two.
5-0-0.
5 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. We're going to start our February 14th planning meeting. Terry, can we ask you to do the invocation for us?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've so graciously given us. We ask that any decision we make here tonight will be the right one, would have your blessing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Jamie, can I ask that you do a roll call, please?
Ms. Hutto is absent. Mr. Palmer is absent. Mr. Stryker.
Here.
Mr. Robichaud.
Here.
And Chairman Riga.
Here. Thank you. Guys, we're on the approval of the minutes. Everybody had a chance to review them?
I have reviewed them and I move that they be accepted as presented.
I'll second that.
Very good.
Even though I wasn't here, I watched it.
Can we take that vote?
Sure. Mr. Robichaud.
Yes?
Mr. Stryker.
Yes.
And Chairman Riga.
Yes, thank you. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. We're at a point now where we're at items from the audience. Anything that's not on the agenda, anything that's on your mind that you'd like to discuss with the planning commissioners, feel free to come up to the podium and tell us what's on your mind.
Well, we've got the 3 minutes.
Oh.
I just,
Hit the,
Patricia Fosick, 1344 Stratford, just
Hi,
one
Patricia.
simple question.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
task list here, it's the continuation of the comp plan review. What's the date of that? Because I've seen one and I think I downloaded from the website like September of 19.
Yeah,
Date of the comp plan?
Is there a new one or are we still working on that one?
we're on a current version right here, it was dated originally May 2019.
Okay, that's probably the one.
And the comp plan requires that, actually, the planning commissioner's job is on an annual basis to make sure that the comp plan does not interfere in any way with the LDR. There can't be any conflicts between the two of them.
Right.
And continues to meet the requirements of state law. So this body, on an annual basis, is required to review it in order to ensure that those two things exist.
Okay.
So we're on the final, we're on chapter 10, and ultimately we're about 95% done with that. This group spent about 7 or 8 months, along with the commissioners, with the council members, in order to go ahead and rewrite the LDRs. So it was sort of a normal progression of events to do that first, and then come back to the comp plan.
So that's what the committee is doing, is ensuring that the prior comp plan is consistent with the LDRs that went into effect
The
in November
current
21.
LDRs, and that there are no conflicts.
Got it.
That's
Thank you.
exactly right. Yeah, thank you. Any other items for the audience? Okay, very good. Well, thank you. Is Mr. Abu here? Very good, sir. We've got 3 items on the agenda. We're gonna review your development, and then I know that there's an individual, here within the planning commission that's gonna, address us about, using our city attorney, and then we're gonna finish the final 7 or 8 pages in the comprehensive plan. Mr. Abu, if you don't mind, come on up and kinda tell us a little bit about your project and what you're trying to accomplish here.
Okay. So my name is Omri. I've been working with Melissa for the past 2 years, and we've been working to approve this project. The first project been approved by you guys, and we're here in the second time to approve the second building. And basically what we're going to do over there, we're going to do 2 fourplexes. I have the plans with me. If you want me, I can share and show you. And we just want to be able to move forward because it's been a process that we've been back and forth. Everything that been required by us to do as far as clean up the area, move the containers because the neighbors didn't like it there while the process is still going. We've been taking care of it A to Z, even if he was over budget, wasn't supposed to pull out. We want to make sure that the neighbor around us are friendly and get, in the end of the day, all of it is going to be around their houses. So we just want to make sure that they are happy with us. And in the same time, I'm an investor that want to invest in the Parker area community and do my best over here to be able to build more houses and more place to live and bring more community to the neighborhood.
Very good. Guys, any questions for Mr. Abu?
Is the reconstruction gonna be in the same footprint, same size as the original buildings were?
Yes, sir.
So you're using the same perimeters?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We do going to obviously get it the dirt much higher than what it was in the past. We're going to fix all the problems that had in the past, make it stable, strong for many years to come.
Very good.
Well, and if you'll recall, the city council has conceptually approved the building back in the footprint of 4 of these townhomes, and then the additional 4 were added. The reason that it's coming to you for all 8 is that he has submitted a stormwater plan and analyses for the entire project. So even though the council conceptually approved the first 4, because he submitted an overall plan,
So
we
now
had
the
to bring it.
project is 8
we-
properties?
Exactly, and so that's why we had to bring it back to y'all for all 8.
Very good. Terry, any questions?
Not at this
Does
point.
the city engineer have anything to say?
Well, the city engineer had some comments. Did you all get her comments? And basically, those comments were that the property owner is responsible for maintaining the stormwater pond and swale. Because of the size of the project and the potential for stormwater issues, that the city would take what's called a backup stormwater easement that essentially says, in the event that he doesn't maintain the system, then the city can go in and maintain it. There was also a requirement that the property be combined. In other words, these were 2, well, actually there was 1 parcel for the 4 properties, and then individual parcels for the other 4 townhouse properties. We were requiring that those all be combined into 1 parcel, which apparently, reading the email, he has done. And the purpose of that was so that, since he has represented that he is going to maintain ownership, and because we're not requiring some of the things that otherwise would have to be done for a subdivision, it needed to be 1 project.
Gotcha.
The other comment from the city was that the applicant must tie into the sewer in the road and abandon the existing private sewer behind the townhomes.
Very
That's
good.
correct. This is what we're gonna do once we get the okay from you guys.
So, Mr. Abu, what we have is we've got 8 dwellings, essentially, 2 separate buildings, right? And I was at that March meeting when they went ahead and approved that first fourplex
Yes, sir.
that was there. Mr. Sloan, question for you.
Yes,
And I
sir.
did see your question. When it says Parker Legal Department, that's you for sure, right? Or were you the person who
Well, I don't know,
launched those
where are
questions?
you reading?
That was under the engineers, where it says Legal Department Review and Comments.
Oh, that is
Well, my
correct.
question is just something you had already said. So does Mr. Abu have to, does that have to be written into deeds or anything of that nature?
No, what,
Where it says the property owner is
what I do
responsible
is
for
have an
maintaining it.
easement that requires him to maintain that,
Mhm.
and then, gives the city the right to, maintain it in the event he doesn't.
Very good. And then the part where you had asked the question about maintaining the stormwater, the swale, the pond swale, is that anything that needs to be a legal document, or is that?
Well,
you're
again, that'll
satisfied
be
with?
contained in that easement
It
document.
will be, okay,
Yeah.
very good.
The-
So that
the-
piece.
Typically, when you have a project similar to this, where you often have individual ownership of the townhomes, you have an HOA created, and ultimately the HOA ends up being responsible for maintaining the stormwater system.
Yeah,
As the city has seen over many, many years, some of those HOAs don't do what they're supposed to do, and some don't even last. So, that's why the city requires that backup easement. In this case, he is represented, he's gonna maintain all ownership of all of them. However, at some point in time, if he decides to sell them, then he would have to come before the council if he wants to split the property into 3 or more parcels, and then we'd have to deal with the issue of who's gonna maintain that stormwater pond at that point in time.
good deal. And he's gotten all of his, actually, I think both the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the Northwest Florida Water District, they both indicated that this is a de minimis project, so whatever he's doing, it doesn't require an environmental impact study or a permit, is that right? That's the documents
That's what
we
the
have.
engineer is
Yeah, so-
saying, yes, sir.
Yeah, very good, okay, very good. So just a,
Do you have questions from the audience for this project?
not yet, Joe. We're gonna do a few other things here first, so a couple of things here. When it looks at the lot coverage, this isn't a residential area, so we're kind of covering it under what's considered a legal non-conforming structure, because of it was there before. In a residential area, it's considered generally a low-density area, so generally, beyond single-family homes are not allowed, but I was there when they went ahead and approved that first project. But there are other things that it had to abide by. When you had indicated that the impervious area was 37.8%, that's getting close to the 40%, which is, that's the maximum in a residential area. Did that include the driveways and all other impervious areas?
Can-
Your engineer maybe be
can
able to
I
answer
add
that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it did. It
Thank you.
included,
Can you tell us who you are?
Scott Rutherford with SCR and Associates.
Okay,
We
I see.
are the engineer of record for this project.
Excellent.
And yes, we accounted for all sidewalks, driveways, porches.
Very good. And I saw, you've got about a little over 29,000 or 25,000, almost 26,000 square feet. So it's going to be a two-story structure?
Yes.
Okay. And you're not going to exceed 13,000 square feet, so you'll be below the FARs, the
And we
floor
provided
area
the
ratios?
Yes, sir, we provided the architectural plans
Very
as
good.
as a part of the
I
project.
think I saw them just slightly below 11,000.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, good. Okay, good deal. Good deal. And it's a reconstruction site, so as Mr. Robichov has already asked, it's going to be exactly in the same footprint, right?
Correct.
As before? Okay.
Correct.
All right, very good.
But it is a tear down and rebuild, or
Well, it's all the land is already clear.
It, it's an already torn down.
already
Yeah.
down?
They showed pre-Hurricane Michael, post-Hurricane Michael, and then what the new development would look like in the engineering report. Very good.
I could not find that, Jamie.
It's, even when you found it, it was
Okay.
tiny little print.
Okay.
You needed a big magnifying glass to be able to see it. So just a couple of other things here. It looks like the curve values on that particular property, I know there was a question from the engineer about that, but that's acceptable, still close to that 55 value?
Correct.
Okay, very good. And you're gonna maintain the pond swale area and the
Yes, sir.
runoff there as well? Yeah, very good. And give access to the city for the stormwater easement in case we have to come in and clean it out? Very good. Okay. And then, as we already stated, it looks like both Florida Department of Environmental Protection, both organizations said it was a de minimis project and wasn't required based on the activities that you're gonna have on the property, right? De minimis,
That-
so it wasn't required?
That is
ERP?
correct. It
Yeah.
is an unregulated activity.
Mhm.
It doesn't even meet the thresholds of being exempt. But with that being said, because of the sensitivity of the water body behind it, we did, in good faith, with working with the city's engineer, create an area in the back that's going to manage the discharge from the site into the lake.
Yes, sir, and I see they went ahead and cited that per 62-330, it's a regulated, and that's why they indicated that you were exempt from the ERP, so thanks for going through those steps.
Sure.
Very good. I saw that there was a request to resubmit, but with the curve values around 55 or close to it, it wasn't necessary. You've already met the requirements with regard to vehicular traffic, lighting. Very good. Okay.
And I believe there was a comment in there somewhere about landscaping, and there was a landscape plan provided within the
That was,
civil plan. So-
that was a question I do have for Mr. Sloan. Mr. Sloan, it indicates that they're going to guarantee the trees for 1 year. My question is, and I can't remember, I should have looked it up, do we only require 3 years when it's a removal and a replacement, or is 1 year guaranteed by the builder acceptable? When it's new development, because they're not taking any protected trees out, they're just putting new ones in.
Let me look here. I don't remember the,
It was just, I
it says
remember
all
when I was
permits
going.
for lot clearing as a part of new development and for development permits shall include, whether expressly stated or not, a guarantee that all trees planted as a part of the new development shall be guaranteed to remain healthy for a period of 3 years
3 years.
following completion of the development, or they shall be replaced by the party obtaining the permit. So, that is a requirement in the LDR.
And I saw that in one of your reports. If you're okay with making that guarantee to the city, I think that was the one hitch that I had. We just, we're sensitive to our trees here, so we just ask that you keep them alive for 3 years.
Beside the, if you don't mind me saying, but besides what you guys require, the people that will live in the neighborhood, I want them to have a nice grass and trees. So it's not something that they're gonna keep for 3 years. It's something that they're gonna keep as long as I own these buildings.
Yes, sir, very good. Is there something, so do they have to change that report that we get then, Mr. Sloan? Because it says the warranty would be for on the, I think it was in their engineering report from SCR, 1 year.
Well,
So
one
could
of
you
the
just-
conditions of the recommendation I would suggest would be the engineer's condition, my conditions, as well as the additional condition of maintaining the tree guarantee for 3 years.
Very good, very good. Okay. Flood zone AE, so just 1% chance of a flooding. They've changed all of those flood zone designations. It used to be A1 through A30, and now you've got to look up the darn letters to figure out what they mean.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, so you got an elevation there, average of about 9 feet, is that right? Yeah.
That is correct. The entry level or first floor elevation is just over 13 feet. And the entry is at 18 feet.
Very good. And partial wetlands there?
Just along the shoreline. This is some shoreline protection.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Guys, anything else from you? Melissa?
No.
Jamie? Terry? Gentlemen, thank you. I think we are gonna hear from the audience here as well.
I
What
just
do you
have
got,
a few
Joe?
questions. Joe Hoffbauer, 5033.
Thank you, Mr.
Sharon
Abu.
Drive.
Thank you, sir.
On your permit, did you specify that there would be a pond and a swale when you notified them with this electronic submittal?
We just rescinded the letter asking for exemption per the request.
You didn't send any design of a pond?
No, sir. Well, we did in the original one that they responded to that.
Okay, so they responded that it was no longer necessary for the
That's
pond?
correct. We did both an electronic submittal of our plans and calculations and everything through FDP's site. And then again, when they kicked it back, we sent it to water management and they kicked it back.
So
they
they're
saw-
treating it as a development though?
They are treating it as a de minimis development, that it's a.
They called it negligible impact.
But I know
So
what they're
it was
calling it.
reviewed.
I just wanted to question, see what they're,
No, good
so they are
question, Joe.
treating it as a development.
Yeah.
So my question to here, to this commission is, are you gonna hold them accountable for the bond for maintaining the stormwater in ponds in accordance to our LDR?
We have requested that they have a bond. That is in their review, it's in their report, it's in their guarantee.
Okay.
And that bond has got to be in place for the infrastructure as well as the maintenance
And how much
for a
is the
minimum
bond?
of 3 years.
And how much is the bond?
It has to equal, what is the term in that, Mr. Sloan, equal to the value of the project?
I think that is correct.
Equal to the value of the project and then equal to the value of the maintenance for 3 years.
And you're gonna maintain that bond for 3 years?
They pre-buy it, it's a
Yeah,
requirement before they
okay.
can actually get the permit.
Okay, just to make sure.
Yeah.
And I noted that the engineer stated that we should retain ownership should they sell the property of the stormwater ponds. Is that what the engineer said on our account? Is there a reason for that?
No, they're maintaining ownership.
No, I think he said something from the engineer that our review said we would maintain if they should,
That's the backup easement I discussed.
okay.
And I do want to clarify, Mr. Chairman, the bonding that I think Mr. Hofbrauer was talking about is contained within the subdivision section.
Right, and that's what.
And this is not being considered as a subdivision.
Well, but they just said it was, but,
Well,
They
to
act-
clarify, water management and DEP aren't treating this as anything. This is not within their purview.
well, no, but you sent it to the group that reviews subdivisions, correct?
With all development, yes, sir.
Yeah, and the group that puts out subdivision permits.
Subdivision permits.
And they said it was a de minimis subdivision activity, correct?
They said it's minimum activity.
For a subdivision.
They didn't specify.
That's why I'm saying, is that bond gonna be held accountable as a subdivision now?
Well, that certainly can be the condition as it's contained in the report.
I would
so-
prefer it because we have enough lakes and ponds around here
Yeah.
that we're gonna be held responsible for.
And
I
this
think-
is a building that existed.
No, I realize
Two
that.
buildings existed exactly before.
I realize that,
And
but
one of the reasons that the
But they didn't
council
have- they didn't
originally
have a pond
identified
before.
that they were gonna go ahead and.
I realize that, but they
But the
didn't.
pond is a mechanism in order to deal with the excess water that is gonna come
I
through. So
realize,
they're
I
improving
understand
it.
what it's for.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we have a lot of lakes and ponds already
Yeah.
in this city. We're about to have an ad valorem tax. I don't want all our tax money going to take care of everybody else's bonds, okay? That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so if y'all take care of it, I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All right, guys. Yes, Mr. Abu.
No, that's all. I just want to make sure I finish. Oh, sorry.
Cynthia, yes, did you have something?
I have a question about this development.
Yes.
Cynthia Rosa, 1440 Dover Road. I thought I read somewhere that each of these townhomes are gonna be 5,000 square feet each? What is the square footage?
650 square feet times 2, because they're stacked. It's 1,300 square feet per unit.
Okay,
There's
so
gonna be 8 of them.
1,300?
Yeah.
Okay, but then they say it's gonna be 2 stories, but the building height is 35 feet. Isn't that kinda high, or are they gonna be?
They
even if you have
take that-
12-foot ceilings and 12, it should be 24, so
Yep.
is it gonna be,
You-
I
you
can't see the
You
outside
got
design of it.
peaks and everything too. You've got floors that are gonna be 9 to 10 feet. and then depending on the peak that's there. But 35 feet is the maximum that they can build in a residential area. That's why they capped it at 35 feet.
I know, but these plans don't show the exterior look of it, just saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know, do
They
you
have
have
to-
the exterior design? Is it gonna be super high or something? Is that why you're saying it's 35 feet?
Well, it can't exceed 35 feet in the area because it's a residential area.
Okay. And then, something that was brought up is that these fourplexes are gonna be owned by one owner? So then that means that they're rentals?
They are rentals.
Okay. So just thinking about, how Parker's developing. So we're creating more rental properties.
Do you
Just-
have any idea how many rental properties per capita in Bay County exist? I'll tell you, 67% of the properties in Bay County are rentals.
Because a
That
lot of them are
surprised me too.
condos on the water.
A lot of
I
that,
understand.
but it's also because of the demographics of the people who live here.
Okay, and I'm just pointing it out, cause I didn't hear it from the planning commission, and
Yeah.
you're supposed to be thinking about how we want our community to be developed.
You're right.
So, if,
Yep,
you know,
yep, you're right.
thank you.
Very good. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Diane Coates, 1521 Dover Road. I just want to know, where's this pond supposed to be on this properties? Yeah, is this the properties right here?
Diane, this is the property, and what had happened was there were two buildings identical to what they're building there before Hurricane Michael that got blown down during the storm. And what this developer is doing is gonna put back two fourplexes, and the reason for the pond is because they're gonna elevate the buildings to prevent future flooding, and then the pond is actually gonna be like a swash. It's gonna be a mechanism for capturing pollution before it goes into Lake Martin. So that's the reason for the pond.
We're using the natural topography of the land. The land slopes severely from front to back toward the lake.
Correct. I've been there. So you're gonna put the pond in this? Who's got this?
This is
He
both
does.
of his properties. This is what
This.
the project is about today.
Okay, so this and this is gonna be the one pond over here,
It's gonna capture, it's gonna line the back end of the property.
the whole two properties.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's one property now. It's one of the things that our city attorney, Mr. Sloan, had requested is that we change, these were multiple parcels brought into one in order for other compliance concerns.
See, in the beginning, I didn't know there was 4 up there. I thought there was 2. Where
There-
the one
It's gonna
fell.
be, it's gonna be two buildings, four plexes each of them. 2 stories apeece,
Okay.
650
How many
square feet at
bedrooms?
the foot.
I know this is immaterial, but how many bedrooms in each?
It's about 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms, 2 baths?
Yes, ma'am.
It's immaterial, I know, it's just my own.
No, it's good questions, good questions. Guys, are you ready to vote on this project?
I move that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council approval of the requested townhome rebuild project at 4925 through 4939 South Lakewood Drive.
Very good.
With the recommendations of the engineer, myself, and the guarantee on the trees and the bonding.
Yes, the changes that we had identified, the 3-year warranty, the legal, Mr. Sloan's requirements with regard to ownership, as well as giving access to the city to clean up the
We
pond.
need to capture that in writing in the motion.
Well, I'm assuming
I
that
wrote down
your
the time so I could.
Yeah.
quick clerk over there
Okay,
has got it taken
yes,
care of.
I agree, that is the form of my
I'll
motion.
second that.
Very good. Let's take a vote, please.
Mr. Robichaud?
Yes.
Mr. Striker?
Yes.
Chairman Riga?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Abu.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
that.
much.
Now, you do know it has to still go before the council members, but I think I understand their temperature. And, because I was there last March when you were there the first time. So thank you. Thanks
Thank you
for
very much.
making our city a better place. Appreciate
Thank
it. All right, very good. Mr. Robichaud, you're up. Item 2 on the agenda.
I have a incredibly mundane and routine real estate matter that is gonna require the services of a real estate attorney. I didn't know any here in Panama City, so I went online and looked, I Googled real estate attorneys, and guess whose name popped up as number 2 in that listing, Mr. Sloan.
Why was I number two?
I
That's-
haven't. You need to talk to
When you're
people
number
at
two, you
Google
try harder.
who,
You didn't pay Google
rank
to be
order
on
those
top.
things.
Yeah, that's right, you didn't pay the
But
Google people.
I communicated with Mr. Sloan and requested that he provide the services to me. He thought it'd be a wonderful idea, in fact, a great idea, and I agree, that because he is the city attorney, that we bring it up before the board, make sure it's absolutely out in the open. This has nothing to do with any city business of any kind. It's strictly a private matter that involves real estate that I need taken care of.
As I told Mr. Robichaux, historically, I have always gotten the permission primarily of the city council. I don't know that I remember ever having a planning commissioner ask me to do work for him, but there probably has been over the years, but primarily the city council. And then it's normally not even an agenda item, it's just brought up by the mayor or whoever is requesting it. And so you've got it on the agenda. I'm happy to provide the services, but I just want to make sure that you all are aware of it, you don't see there's a conflict in it, and that you give it its blessing.
Do we have to
Need a
take a vote
motion,
on
or
this,
you
or
just need to say?
do we need to take a vote on it, or can we just
I
say,
think it's, I don't think
Yeah.
a motion is necessary. I think
yeah,
it's in the record.
just make sure you negotiate your fee?
I'm not charging more.
I have, no, Jim, I have no problem with it at all, and thanks for giving us the respect of bringing it before us, that's fine. All right, guys, on to item number 3, which is the final. I'm just gonna take you through it and then just get your comments. We are 95% done with the comp plan. There are some things that I think we probably have to do to bring it in compliance. We stopped the last time on section, where was it? It was section 10.4, page 10.4, so now we're on 10.5. Now, 10.5 is pretty innocuous. It's really just provides the provisions, and that's really just giving the school board the provisions and prioritization, given the school board when buildings, schools, walkways, things of that nature need to be built. So if you read through all of that stuff, it's sort of very straightforward, makes a lot of sense. Ultimately, it just are the rules that we abide by when a school, a walkway, safety relationships regarding the schools are necessary. Oh, you got a page up there? Cool.
Trying to get it, it's never what I
Very
think
good.
it is though.
I'm gonna move kinda quick, cause this section here, quite frankly, I don't think, these sections here require any changes. I'm on page 10.6 now. 10.6 is really this is consistency of concurrency and the rules surrounding amendments. There's a table here, it's table 10.2, and it refers to the number of students to consider based on buildings types to ensure proper fish values. Remember, fish values with the Florida Inventory of Schoolhouses. And then a special note here, when we figure fish values, and I didn't know this, so I'm glad that this research revealed this. When you look at fish values for schools, your relocated students do not get counted into that area. And I think, Terry, you might have brought it up at one of the meetings before, where you're wondering if all of the students that were brought in had to, that mattered. And in fact, so I got an answer for you, and the answer is they don't. So because they're not considered permanent, and for that reason, they're not included in the fish values for the fish calculations. So guys, long and short of it is, I don't see a necessary change for 10.6. When we're gonna get to another page here where we identify the state and the county very specifically identified based on building type, how many students have to exist for our calculations, so we don't have to actually do a count. For a single family home, we can count 0.3047 students. For a mobile home, 0.5053. For multifamily apartments, 0.2706, and on and on and on. So it's based on the type of building. We can do a quick calculation and determine, if we have proper fish values for the city. So I don't see a requirement for that change, or any changes necessary in 10.6, unless you guys feel differently. Okay? All right, I'm on 10.7. Page 10.7 reminds us we must consider fish values when approving new developments. So for example, I know we've got a Whopper that probably will come back to us on the other side of the bridge. That's probably gonna house 300 or 400 people, maybe more. When we do that, we have to first look at those fish values to make sure that we're not going to exceed them. And if the answer is we are, then there are certain provisions certain steps we have to take in order to make sure that we don't exceed them. And that can involve the developers, asking them to ante up for paying for some of the walkways and the schools and, the extra busing and all of that stuff that would be there. So, and that does, in fact, on page 10.7, it does give you the options that planning commissioners have and the city has if indeed we're going to be in a situation where we exceed the fish values. Because there are provisions for doing that, but it's got to be temporary. And I don't see a need to change that as well. 10.7 looks like it's pretty straightforward to me. Mr. Sloan, if you've got anything.
Well, I would just remind the planning commission that that whole section is somewhat sacrosanct in the sense that it's mandated to a large part. The numbers are mandated, and so I would also remind the planning commission we have an interlocal agreement with the school board on new school development and that sort of thing, and also that the school board has an ex officio member on your body that's supposed to come and know what you're doing. So I don't know if we could ever get them here to do that, but that's what they're supposed to be doing.
I do submit every 6 months any new development to that school board member.
Outstanding. So you're exceeding that by 2 because it's actually only required every year. So
They ask
excellent.
for it every 6 months.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Sloan.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Melissa. So 10-8, it gives us the requirements to mitigate situations when the school student limits are exceeded, because there are provisions for it to be allowed. But again, this really comes to us directly from the state. It's well written. Mr. Sloan, I think you probably had something to do with writing it. But I can't see us changing anything because it doesn't look like it doesn't conflict at all with the LDRs, and it doesn't appear as though anything has changed that would require us to make any changes to it. There is a policy here, and Melissa I was just going to ask us how we did this. It's policy 10.6-3. It indicates that the city will provide to the school board the growth projections for development, and then items 1, 2, and 3 on page 10.9 actually walk us through exactly what those items are. There are things like what are the developments, what's the number of new people, location, any walkways, any new development orders, large ones for the future that are perceived, anything with regard to any changes to your future land development maps. And again, I don't see anything there, and it sounds like you already generate that report, so thank you. Okay, now we have 10 maps that follow. Okay, so map 1, it really just shows the high school zones, and I don't think that's changed, so I don't think anything needs to change there. Map 2 is the City of Parker future land use. I believe that one does have to change because this particular group and the council members did approve certain items going from MU1, MU2 to commercial, so that probably has to be updated in our comp plan. That would be map number 2, okay? And then map number 3 is the CRA area, and it shows the 3 sub-areas. And in fact, the one that's in this book doesn't actually show those areas, so we probably have to update them.
And we ordered new ones based on
Okay.
LDR. Actually, they will be here tomorrow.
Okay, oh, very good. So, Mr. Sloan, I don't know if I need to tell you to put those in here? Does this have to be
No, sir.
submitted to the state, or we just do
The
it?
council, when it agrees to a small-scale plan amendment, it does so by ordinance. That ordinance includes the map. So it has enacted amendments through the small-scale plan amendment process.
Mhm.
And Jamie is talking about having the latest and greatest map, which should be in color.
They are.
And
$30 a piece.
Yick. Can we put it
as
up
well
there
as the
electronically?
sub-areas of the CRA should also be in color.
Yeah.
Mark, I'd suggest going back to the school map and get the most recent.
Yeah.
Cause it used to be, they changed the zoning would change almost every year. So,
For the, is that one was
That's
the
map one probably.
number one, shows the high school zones?
yeah,
Oh, very good, okay.
It
I
does.
don't know how much they change now, but I know they used to change.
Well, this thing, it's probably the right thing to do, cause this
Yeah.
thing's 4 years old,
Right.
so, I mean, this
I almost
particular
guarantee you
copy
they
of it,
changed
yeah.
from that.
Okay,
Do
well,
we have to keep that in ours, or doesn't the school board keep that?
Well, the school board keeps it, again, those maps were current as of the enactment, and then things were done to amend those by ordinance along the way. So
Yeah.
what you're talking about doing, Mr. Reg, is having a compiled version, but technically you don't ever have that. You just have amendments to the original version.
You probably get it off your website.
well, I know you'd mentioned to us that the state, is a little more easy with regard to the comprehensive plan. And I mean, we identified that we would review this thing annually
Correct.
for updates, and so I'm gonna go through it, and we don't have we're almost done. So I'll identify what I'm just wondering, where do we record it? Do we record, is this something legally that has to be done? Or
Well,
is
the
it some-
ordinances amending the comprehensive plan are enacted by the council, and they are on the city website. So the amendments are there. Now,
Very good.
the particular map you're talking about, the city doesn't have any, it doesn't amend it itself. If it's amended, it's done by the school board. So we, maybe when Jamie runs out of other things to do, she can contact the
Just grab
school
the
board
most current one. go
and
with it.
find
Yeah, you're not too
find
busy,
out
right?
if they've got a new map.
Okay, very good. Well,
Mr. Vega, can I ask a question?
oh, please.
Okay, you're talking about the school, you're talking about Parker, correct? There's quite a few kids in Donaldson Point that go to Tyndall.
That's
This-
up to the school board though, not us.
Yeah, this was a map of the high schools.
Yeah, it actually shows the
Just
zones.
the high schools.
Yeah,
Just
just the
the
zones.
schools? Okay, I missed
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Tyndall,
that's okay.
Tyndall wasn't even a middle school in 19 when this started.
right.
Yeah, but I was wondering, does that change anything as far as, I know there's not that many, maybe 10, 12 kids.
Some of Callaway goes there too.
Right, so does that change our,
The school board makes those decisions.
Right, that's.
Yeah.
I don't-
so you'll
School-
find out
right.
from them if we over or under how
No.
they do the
They tell us.
percent.
They also have choice, so if you're military or retired military or contractor, you can,
Go
if you
anywhere
live in
you want.
Lynn Haven, you can
Go
put your
anywhere
kid
you want.
in Tyndall, so,
Yeah.
that's
Very
out
good.
of our,
Well,
what that's worth.
I'm gonna go ahead and just continue here, and then we'll at least get it on the, the map record, and then if we get to the point where we wanna change it, we will, cause there were a few other things that have to be changed, just to bring the current comprehensive plan, in, so that it's accurate, essentially, I'll just put it that way. Item 5 was really just the, actually, item 4 was it just shows the different roadways, and I don't know that we've had any, there are 4 principal, principal artery, arterial, minor, major, and urban, and then railroads. I don't think any of those have changed, so that one probably doesn't have to change since 2019. And then map 5 just shows alternative transportation. Because we have, believe it or not, alternative transportation is things like the trolleys and sidewalks. And because we've got all new sidewalks going in, it actually shows the darn sidewalks. So we probably, since we've got all those going in, we probably need to maybe get, that updated as well. That's map 5, alternative transportation. And then map 6, 6 probably doesn't have to be changed. That's your hurricane evacuation routes, okay? And I would imagine people can go online and just see this stuff, so this might be helpful information to have updated. And then item 7 was your flood zones. Now that did change. FEMA does have new FEMA maps that are out, so that one probably does have to change. And that changed actually, and they published all that stuff about 8 or 9 months ago.
And with respect to that, I think, Melissa, you may have been in communication with some of the folks on the flood issues. Just a FYI, I'm anticipating that will also require some amendments to the land development regulations also.
Very good, okay. when we get that new map and start saying, because some homes, there was a net, I think it was net 60. We had 60 homes that were in the flood zone here in Parker. And there were some that came off and then some that went in, but there were more before. That was based on that Mexico Beach FEMA presentation that they put out there when they showed Parker. So actually some of those that were in a flood zone came out of flood zones. So that's kind of an interesting little development, but it did happen on their new maps. Okay, and then and then we did have then we had the soils, which was map number 8. I don't imagine that would have changed, but that's kind of a neat little map. It shows all the different soils throughout the whole, throughout all of Parker. And so when we look at these engineering maps, I didn't know this was available until now. This does have to do with, you know, your floor area ratio and how high they can build and all of that to determine how, you know, what soil the building could support. So that probably doesn't have to change though, because I can't imagine that changing. And then item 9 does show all the wetlands, which is really kind of cool, and the flood zones, and that's likely changed with the new FEMA map that came out. And then the last one is the coastal high hazard area. That likely is going to change, you know, with the new FEMA maps that are out there. So
well, again, some of what you just mentioned, the wetlands, for instance, the state probably has designated those wetlands, and I'm not sure that they'll probably revisit them with the new FEMA maps, but I don't know if they'll be affected or not.
Okay. So there's 10 maps in there. So with that and with those comments, I think we can put this comp plan to bed as long as we get those.
This is the city website I'm on.
Very good.
That's the city website that I'm on right now.
And which one are you showing? The coastal high hazard area? Outstanding. Very good.
I'm on the city website. You just go under planning and development, and it's there. That's what they're looking at. This wasn't sent to them. This is just on the
Right,
website.
I was just suggesting that maybe that info packet, at least a link to the website, so let's say, in preparation for tonight's meeting, citizens could have reviewed it in advance if we had any questions.
So this packet was on the website, right?
This is on the website, and the packet is actually on the website too, but I didn't link this to the packet because I sent you guys the packet 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and
I
so
got you.
It wasn't at the time when the council had asked me to put it on the website.
Cool.
But this
Cynthia,
is the
what was your
website.
recommendation?
A link to this.
The link to this here?
Yeah, I mean, if it was on this task list, comp plan review,
Just the last half of the 10th chapter.
yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, you know, you did a good job in providing background or whatever, the info packet for the agenda item number 1, and I printed out all that, the engineering report and the renderings, but I just
Shouldn't know
moved
where to
over
look at
till
the comp
April.
plan.
It would
Oh,
be
okay.
nice to have the comp plan review, even a link to it, so if it's gonna be discussed at the meeting, the citizen, if we're.
It's on the website.
It's on the website, but when I see comp plan review, I don't know where that is. I don't know.
Comprehensive plan. And just so you'll know, the comprehensive, Mr. Sloan probably gave us the best definition for what that thing actually is. It's really a summary of the rules that the LDRs have to abide by. So it's like an 88-page summary of what the 200-page LDRs have to state. So really but on an annual basis, this group has to review it for any conflicts. And that's really what we just finished.
Right, but I'm
So.
just following up on, you know, Pat had made that request at a meeting that it's a Florida statute that all materials that you're gonna review are provided to citizens at least 7 to 10 days before the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't remember it exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And I think what Jamie's comment was is that because this is on our website, it's available for anybody who wants to see it. So that's probably the comment that she was making. So, all right, very good. Anything else, Terry?
No.
Jamie, anything from you? Melissa?
Nope. You got a question?
Question? Yes,
I
ma'am.
do have a question. It was an afterthought after the the developer left for the
Yes.
Lakewood Drive
Yes.
townhomes.
Yes.
I went to another planning meeting where you guys, the planning commission mentioned something about you can't have a duplex in single-family residential.
That's correct.
And he's creating a multiplex.
His is what is called, it comes under a different provision called a legal non-conforming structure. It's in section 5 or 6 of the LDRs. So and that's why Mr. Robichaud very succinctly said, are you building it on the same footprint? And the answer was yes, and the plans show that. So when you have a legal non-conforming structure, you have the right to put it back, okay? But you cannot increase the level of nonconformity. So that was the basis of his question.
And then I may be confused about this, but you took 2 parcels and you made them 1. So does that apply anymore? Because you've now.
Mr. Sloan actually asked them to do that for other reasons.
Otherwise, they would have had to comply with the subdivision requirements. They would have had to look at putting streets in and street lights and stuff that really in this context didn't apply.
Yeah.
So you allow them to put them together to not make a subdivision? Now I'm confused. How does that work?
I asked them to put them together so that we would not have a subdivision. If the developer chooses at some point in the future to sell off some of the parcels, sell off some of the townhomes, and he separates the property into 3 or more pieces, then he will be a subdivision at that point in time, and then he would have to put in streetlights and all the stuff he'd have to do for a subdivision.
What stops him from selling without doing that? I mean, how is the city even gonna know that he sells it?
He would have to come to the city and request to sever off a piece.
To divide a parcel
To
into
divide the
2, you
parcel.
have to have council approval.
You got 8 structures on one lot.
Got it,
So
okay.
how do you buy one of those 8 structures? You can't buy the land.
That was just changed in the LDR. It used to be in-house. We could divide it into 2, but we wanted the council to make that approval, so.
If you look at, that's where plat surveys come into play. Because if something's a plat survey, if they were gonna be individually owned, would actually divide that line right between the buildings. Okay, and that's the difference there.
But I'm saying.
Like
So
the ones
you're-
over here on Bob Little that are still demolished. Those are obviously individually owned.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
But what is the benefit of not making a subdivision? That's what I'm trying to get to. What benefit to
HOA.
us, meaning the city?
Individual ownership versus an HOA.
Yeah, I mean, and typically you would have additional requirements of a subdivision
No,
that
but
really
I'm
just
saying,
don't
wouldn't we
make
want
sense.
the HOA to take charge and be responsible for everything, or?
Well,
We
because
had
they're
a-
single owned, there would be no HOA.
Yeah.
No, he owns it.
Right.
He's gonna own them all, he's gonna rent.
Correct.
Let's be honest. So it is essentially a developer who's gonna rent, he's gonna have ownership. We're
But-
only requiring him to have, 3 years worth of.
On the guarantee of the trees, that's
Right,
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So wouldn't we want an HOA where we could have them responsible for maintaining it?
Well, again, it's a single ownership, so he is the owner of the entire parcel and he is responsible. If he chooses at some point in time to separate that into 8 individual parcels and he comes to the city and asks to do that, then one of the things that we are going to require as a part of that process would be for him to consider and probably require him to have some entity to maintain them. But because he individually owns them all, he is the one that's gonna be responsible for the.
Okay, so we put our trust in them, so.
No,
No,
it-
no,
the easement's
there's-
gonna be recorded, so
the-
anybody who buys downstream is gonna be subject to that easement.
Oh, no, I realize that, it's just we have a lot of code enforcement going
Yeah.
on, we're trusting this one man to take care of it, and homeowners associations are easier to get things done.
Cherry Lane had a HOA,
Did
It
they?
doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
Did they have an HOA?
and
It
it
did.
disbanded.
It's a great example.
Yeah.
So I think,
Alright,
I
well,
think an
I
individual
stand
standing there
corrected.
is more secure.
Yeah.
That was a bad
Every
HOA.
now and then you gotta give in, right?
Well, we're gonna wrap things up unless, Melissa,
I have no comment.
Jim, anything?
Wait, on the right.
Yes, ma'am.
Around that pond in the backyard, I asked the question, how many bedrooms? Only to the fact, how many kids are gonna be around there? He's got to maintain a fence around there for somebody to walk in there and drown.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's a lake there now.
Yeah, I mean, Martin Lake is right there.
It sounds like it's just more of a depression than an actual pond.
Yeah.
But
It's a mechanism to prevent pollution
Right.
from making its way from the streets and everything down into Martin Lake, yeah.
But still, it's on his property. It's like having a
Yeah.
swimming pool. If you
Yeah.
wanna have a fence around your pool, you're in a violation.
Does the soil always
But,
have
but,
water in
but
it?
I don't think this is going to be a traditional pond. It's
It's-
just a dip in the land to hold some water.
Yeah.
When it
Diane, if
rains too much.
you ever drive down 98, for example, and you can see where the Burger King is right there on the left-hand side,
Yeah.
that's what they call a dry pond, okay? What ends up happening is it'll fill with water, and then it leaches into the area, but that doesn't have, there's generally not very much water in there.
Water goes in with them that day because kids
Yeah.
are kids.
Yeah, no doubt,
This was a
Yeah.
situation that I know personally that
Yeah.
had happened. And the little kid walked over, slipped,
yeah.
and
But I think,
he was only
I think Terry's comment is appropriate too. You got all the their property except at Martin Lake, so.
Sue's Martin Lake. This is entirely different
Yeah.
story. This is on some private property.
It's probably only
Yeah.
be about that deep,
Hey,
you
a
know.
kid can drown in 8 inches of water.
Well, thank you everybody for coming to our planning meeting and for being interested and for your questions. We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you.